the day has come. This is the most exciting day of the year for me. It's not my birthday, Jeff.
Oh.
It is the official release of the brand new 2022 Daiwa Exist. Now, if you are a bougie motherfucker like me, this is an exciting day. What could possibly be better than the 2018 Exist that we've been using the last 4 years? Well, today, first look, we are going to take them out of the box. We are going to go through the new specs, and this is going to be fun. So if you're ready to deep dive into the brand new Daiwa Exist, let's go. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. All right, welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, the Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined, of course, by my buddy Jeffrey the King. We're the Hookup Tackle USA. All right, Jeff, this is it. This is
These exist.
As much as I love bait casting rods, love bait casting reels, the last few years I've been re-excited. I don't even know if that's, well, it is a word. I just said it.
Yeah.
I've been re-excited by spinning with rods like the Windbuster and reels like the Exist, right? They're just so fun to use. And, you know, we're huge fans of the Exist. We talk about them all the time. We sell a ton of them. Everybody that gets them loves them, right? When Daiwa announced that they were not just redoing the Exist, but it was going to be lighter and better, everybody's sitting back going, what the hell could they possibly have done to make this reel better, right? So I have in my hands the brand new 2022 Exist. We're going to open them for the first time. Haven't opened these boxes, right? So we've got a 2500 and a 3000. These are going to be the two most popular sizes. They are going to come in a 1000, a 2000, also a 4,000 and a 5,000. So if you're a trout guy, there are going to be sizes for you. If you are an inshore guy, or I don't know, what would you use a 5,000 Exist for in freshwater? Muskie.
Muskie, there you go.
For sure, right? There's going to be sizes for you as well. But since we are a bass fishing store here predominantly, these are the two sizes we're going to talk about today and show, the 2500 and the 3000. Now, let me point out that they are going to offer only one option for now here in the US in the 2500 and the 3000. So it's going to be the Exist LT 2500 XH and the Exist LT 3000D. And we will get into some specs here in a minute. Now, do you follow like Daiwa Japan? And you know, some of the launchings of the Exist. Now, one thing that you may have seen in Japan is when they launched the Exist, the packaging that it came in was this box that, like, the lid lifted up.
Whoa. And
there was like foam, and the reel was perfectly set in foam, and I was like, holy shit, that's how they're gonna send it, right? Not the case. Okay? But as cool as the packaging is, you know, you and I talk about this a lot. Packaging is a big deal in Japan.
Oh, it's huge.
They love their packaging, right? Here in the US, what the hell do you do with these boxes anyways?
Throw them away.
You throw them away, right? So instead of opting for that packaging, they have opted for the traditional reel cover, okay? Which is better. Because if you're a guy that's just like super, super anal about your stuff and you don't want any scratches or anything, I guess this is a beautiful way to take care of your, you know, $800 reel. If you're like me, you're just banging the shit around and your reel ends up looking kind of like this after a while. So, you know, maybe you threw it into some rocks when you got frustrated. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so here's what you get. I opened the 3000 first. Okay, so we're gonna take both of them out. So it's gonna come in the traditional neoprene sleeve. In the first pocket, there is going to be the handle, of course. And then there she is, the beautiful new 2022 Exist. So let's put this together and I will let you guys see it, and then we will spec this out and we'll talk about all the great things that it is. So there you go. So you can see it's a beautiful, not quite a monotone silver, but it's an all silver look. Definitely a couple different shades going on, although very, very subtle, right? So just a gorgeous reel. Absolutely beautiful, as it should be for $859. Now, side-by-side comparison. This is the 2018 Exist here. There you go. Maybe I'll just hold it reel to reel. So very similar size, right? There's not a lot size different to it. They're both the monocoque bodies. They're both the LT frames. So sizing-wise, almost identical, right? Now, just initial impressions. This one definitely is lighter, but this one also has line on it. Okay, so we'll spec it out here in a second. Let's do the same thing with the 2500 series so you guys can see exactly what this is going to look like when you get it. Now, we did have a very small little teaser batch of these come in a week or so ago. They evaporated super quick, right? So the official launch isn't actually happening for another couple weeks, but Daiwa's kind of leaking some to put some out there. So if you're fortunate enough to get them, awesome, thank you for the business. If not, trust me, there are plenty more coming. So here is the 2500 size. Again, you're gonna have the handle in there. It's gonna be more the single grip on it versus the paddle grip, okay? Which some guys like one, some guys like the other. All right, but here we go. Let's put that on there. Okay, and there you have the 2500 size, okay? So initial thoughts on the 2500, dude, it doesn't weigh anything. And we'll spec this out and you will be blown away by the weight. So there is a comparison, 2500 to 3000. Sexy. What do you think, Jeff? Sexy?
Now, I'm not a huge spinning reel guy, but that's the one that I would choose.
Yeah, well, of course. Because you're a bougie spinning reel guy now,
Absolutely.
aren't you? Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into some of these specs and geek out a little bit. Now, this is going to be a first impression type video, right? I'm taking them out of the box for the first time. You guys are seeing them with me. I'm going to highlight some of the specs from what Daiwa is talking about. We're going to break it down into common language and what that actually means. We'll now spool these up and we'll take them out of the water and we'll use them, and we'll do another video of actual real world impressions, right? But this is so exciting, I think it deserves a first look. So the big thing that Daiwa is touting with these new reels is what they are calling their air drive system. So you're going to hear that word thrown around a lot, is air drive. Now, if you remember back to bait casting reels, you'll remember that we started hearing things called digigear. Remember this,
Yep.
right? Now, digigear is, some reinforced gears. There's, a one-piece monocoque type body, right? So all of that is also in this Exist, right? So this still qualifies under that whole kind of new digi-tech branding that Daiwa has. But on top of that, now this is going to have their new air drive design. And basically what that is, it's kind of in multi-pieces. So the first thing Daiwa did is they redesigned the rotor piece, okay, which is going to be this top piece up here. This is what they're calling their air drive rotor. Now it's totally redesigned. It's a one-piece Zillion material. Okay, so what they've done is they've eliminated the need to have any screws or any attachments, and they have gone with the Zillion because it's just as rigid as the magnesium, but it allowed them to reduce the weight by 16% just on the rotor. Okay, so what that means is that this is just going to spin that much freer, that much easier, that much more, that much less effort, right, to spin that around. Now, the next thing they've done is they've redesigned the bail system. Okay, so that's going to be this top piece up here. Okay, so they've done a couple of things on here. They have made the whole bail system smaller. Now, I picked up a 3000. They're claiming it's smaller. Let's see if it's smaller or not smaller. Can you tell if it's smaller? It's going to be hard to tell. I mean, we're really kind of micro dissecting here. So I can't totally tell if it's smaller or not. I can tell that the old rotor system definitely had screws on both sides, so there's multiple pieces attaching it, right? So I can definitely see the difference there. But I can't totally tell yet on the bale system. I can tell, well, there you go. You can see that wire is definitely smaller. Can you see it? Yeah, so it's definitely smaller. So they're saying it's a 33% reduction in weight here on the bale piece. Okay, so that's huge. That's a third of the weight that they've cut off. They've also redesigned each one of these bale wires to be angled specifically to the line roller per reel. So each reel is going to have a different shaped and a different angled bale specifically for its size, so that the line management is so much easier, so much smoother, and you're going to get that nice level winding on there. If you remember back to the Stella video, Shimano put like a little fin on there, right? Like a little hard plastic fin to help kind of manage that line into the roller. Daiwa is doing it with no fin, but with a redesigned bale that helps angle that line perfectly to the roller. And the 2500 is going to have a different shape than the 3000. The 3000 is going to have a different shape than the 4000, so on and so forth there, right? Now, they are also touting the spool as being an air drive spool. So they've totally redesigned this spool to be lighter and to be more responsive. So with the lighter reel, you can see there's definitely a redesign there, right? With the lighter spool, it's just going to have less startup inertia required to spin on drag. So for you guys using light line or fighting big fish on light line like what we do, right? When we're downsizing to 4, 5, 6 pound line and that big fish surges, you want that spool to be so light to just, you want that to spin and have such a low startup inertia to where it goes and you're not breaking off any of those fish, right? So if you think back to 30 years ago, this sucked and we used to backwind, right? Because we didn't trust our gear. But, you know, you'd have to be completely ridiculous to buy an $800 reel and not trust it, right? So we are giving our faith into the system. It's a proven system. And I mean, I can just tell immediately that this is crazy butter smooth. The old one was crazy butter smooth too, but I mean, even lighter for that to spin around. Now, the other piece that you can't see is the air drive shaft. So they've redesigned the internals and the shafts inside to where the gears are larger, they're smoother, everything is reinforced now with the bearings, which brings me back to that DigiGear piece, right? They've also put new collars on the main shaft to reduce any type of sound. So when you spin this thing, I mean, you almost hear nothing. Here, spin that really close to your ear. I mean, even with most reels, you'll hear some kind of internal gearing, right? I mean, there's virtually no sound coming out of these reels. I mean, super, super quiet, right? Butter smooth and super quiet. So that's what you're getting. Now, on top of everything else, of course, you have the monocoque body, you have the mag seal again in there. So anything that is important to stay dry is mag sealed in here. You also have 2 mag seal ball bearings inside. You have the DigiGear, and then there's a new drag system in here. They're calling ATD Type L. So the last one had the ATD drag, which is butter smooth. This is the new Type L. So it's a slightly redesigned surface on here. So really what you're gonna notice is, you know, the stacking is a little bit different. You're never gonna see that, right? We just wanna know, does it spin or does it not spin, right? Is it smooth or not smooth? And it's butter smooth, but when you open up the inside of the spools, you know, Daiwa has always kind of put their little grooves here on the inside of the spool, right? So if you're comparing Shimano to Daiwa, right? Shimano usually has like a plastic groove piece here on the shaft and then like a metal little spring here. Daiwa does it opposite. They put a metal kind of spring on the shaft and they put a bigger surface with more grooves. That's why Daiwa drags have always been a little bit smoother. It's just a larger surface. So all these little grooves are redesigned also. So instead of just being these like rounded grooves, they're more angled grooves, right? So they kind of come up and then groove down. So it's just a smoother rotation all the way around. Again, improving drag smoothness, reducing the startup inertia required for that spool to go. What it also does is it gives a little bit more power on the hook set and then more finesse when the fish are close, which is interesting, right? Because that's always kind of the debate. Do we set it light for when the fish are close, or do we set it strong for when we need the hook set in open water? This new drag system kind of lets you do both. It kind of bridges that gap. So it gives you a little bit more power on longer line. It gives you a little smoother drag at close range, which is perfect for our style fishing, light line, drop shot, free rig, that kind of stuff. All right, so let's get to actual specs here, because this is gonna be the big thing that everybody wants to know. So just like the previous version, these guys are gonna have 10 CRBB, 2 mag seal ball bearing, and 1 roller bearing. So the bearing count stays the same, right? So 12 plus 1. Now the 2500 is going to be in their XH, which is their high speed, okay? So what that means is a 6.2 to 1 gear ratio, which in spinning reel terms would be equivalent to like an 8 to 1 in a casting. So the important thing here is line pickup. So it's 34.5 inches per turn here on the 2500. So for you bottom contact guys, if you're fishing a drop shot, free rig, that kind of stuff, the 2500 is going to be the one to keep on your radar. So just to compare it, this is the brand new Zillion Sv. So this is their 8 to 1. So an 8.5 to 1 picks up 35.7 inches, and this is 34.5. So it's like a low 8 to 1 gear ratio if you're trying to figure out the equivalent to a bait caster. Now, compared to the 2018, everything we've talked about so far is the same. Gear ratio is the same, line pickup's the same, bearing count is the same, spool capacity on this is the same, so it's 170 yards of 10-pound braid or 110 pounds of 8-pound fluoro. The difference here is the 2018 2500 was 6.3 ounces, right? Which is still crazy light. This new one, 5.6 ounces. So they've shaved almost an entire ounce off the weight. It weighs absolutely nothing. It is so light, so smooth. It's gonna be an amazing reel. So super excited for that one. Now, the 3000 size. Now, this is the size that I've been using forever on all my bottom contact. They are bringing this over in just a 3000D, okay? Now, there are specs for a 3000 XH, but they're not bringing it yet, okay? Hopefully, this is something that Daiwa brings, right? But for now, we get the 3000D, so let me spec that. It's the same bearing count, the 10 plus 2 plus 1, so that's the same as the 2018 version, which would be this guy, okay? It's 5.2 to 1 gear ratio instead of 6.2 to 1 gear ratio, okay? So what that means is the new 3000D is gonna do 30.6 inches of line per crank versus 36 inches of line per crank on this one. So you're giving up speed to go to the 22 over the 2018. Now, it's obvious Daiwa's focus on the 3000 was geared more towards reaction, right? So guys that are throwing jerkbaits, guys that are throwing that kind of stuff where you need kind of a lower gear ratio or a mid gear ratio, this is gonna be a great tool for you. If you like that super line pickup for bottom contact, there's not an option for you. And I wish there was, right? I wish we had the two to choose from. So, if you're living in a 2018 Exist right now that was an XH, I don't know if you switch to this. You're gonna have to make these decisions. Now, again, to make this make sense, what does a 5.2 to 1 gear ratio what's the equivalent in a bait caster? Well, again, if we go by line pickup, this is 30.6 inches of line pickup. A Daiwa Zillion, the brand new SV, in the 7.1 to 1 is 29.7. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a low 7 to 1 equivalent, something like a 7.3 to 1 probably. So it's not that it's a slow speed, right? It's just kind of like a in-between speed. So a 7.3 to 1 is still fast enough for a lot of bottom contact stuff. It's still slow enough for a lot of reaction stuff. So I would consider this more of a versatile speed than last year's 2018, okay? But if you're looking for this to be solely a bottom contact reel, the 2500 might be the better option unless a 7 to 1 type gear ratio is good enough for you. So let's break this down really quick because, I know line pickup is this is the one asterisk to this 3000. Like, I want to take this thing home and, you know, dude, I want to do everything to this reel. Yeah, bunny ears, Jeff. I mean,
give that
this
back.
this is gonna happen for me, right? But this line pickup thing is definitely an asterisk for me because I've been using the Exist for my bottom contact, right? So what does it mean if we sacrifice going from this 36 inches of line pickup to this 30.6 inches? So basically what that means is when we make a long cast and that's down on the bottom, right? And we're lifting our bait up and boom, we feel that bite. As we wind down to pick up the line before we set the hook, right? That's where it's really gonna come into play. So for me, if I'm up here and then thunk, I get the bite, it's 3 full turns I get almost every time before I go to set, okay? So 3 full rotations at essentially 5.5 inches per rotation, right? So you're about 16.5 inches of line less pickup on this guy than you are on this guy, okay? So where that would come into play is if a fish bites you way out there and eats your bait and then moves towards you, it'd be nice to have that extra 16 inches of line pickup, right? So you're just gonna have to gauge. You guys are gonna have to make the decision what's best for you. Now, on the flip side, if you're using this to do bottom contact and reaction, right? Like maybe you love throwing a jerkbait on a spinning rod, which is a popular thing. This one should be a way better speed for you because you're not picking up as much line. So you're twitching and then you're winding up that slack, and this one would be really fast. So you guys are probably picking up too much line with this one because it's so high speed. So it's definitely gonna bridge a gap. You're just gonna have to decide if it's a gap that you guys need to bridge or not. As far as line capacity goes, it holds a fucking shit ton, right? So 250 yards of 15-pound braid or 280 pounds of 10-pound fluoro. So it's a ton of line. Weight-wise, this one is 6.5 ounces, this one is 6.2 ounces. So it's still shaved off some weight, but by the time you put 200 yards of line on there, it's gonna add some weight, okay? Because the spool is so deep. So again, if you're comparing this to the previous model of D, it's definitely lighter. But if you're comparing this to the previous model of XH, which is probably what you're doing since we sold XHs like 37 times more than we sold Ds in the 2018 model, they're gonna weigh about the same by the time you put that extra line on there, okay? So you're not really getting a lot of weight. What you're gonna get is you're gonna get that new air drive system. It's just gonna be butter smooth rotation, amazing drag. So definitely still a reason to get this guy. You're just gonna have to decide if you can live with that gear ratio or not. All right, guys, that's the breakdown. I'm super impressed. I'm really excited to get these guys on the water. I want to see what this new drag system feels like. I want to feel what all this air drive hype is about. So if you guys have any questions on anything that we've covered, definitely drop it down below in the comments and I will get to it. Jeff will leave links to these. We will hopefully see these guys trickle in, so keep your eyes open for these to arrive. I'm excited for you guys to get them in your hands. So on behalf of myself and Jeff and everybody around here, guys, thank you for the time. Thank you for the support. I hope you love the new Exist as much as I know you are going to. So until next time, peace out.